Hi everyone, it's Leigh with Arts Council OKC Creative Aging Program. This week we're going to do geometric patterned bookmarks because you know bookmarks are good all year round and geometric patterns are really pretty simple to do, but you can make them look really cool. Now I checked out this awesome book at the library which has, it's like the history of patterns, and it has other patterns other than the geometric, but I just want you to know that you can choose anything. So the materials you're going to need are number 2 pencil, ultrafine Sharpie, we're at watercolor paper, watercolors, a big eraser, paper towels, water, and you know, of course you need some brushes, and small and medium brushes would be just fine. So we'll get started and then I'll kind of talk you through it. So all right, let's get there, grab that. Okay. One. Oh, ooh, hello. Okay, good deal. All right. So I kind of wanted to show it sort of in process as far as what I'm using is, this is a 9x12 sheet of watercolor paper and I just cut it into fourths. So each bookmark is 3x9. Which, you know, it's a really nice size for a bookmark, and also you can use it as just a, you know, a picture. You can set it up somewhere. So, whoop, I threw my paper towels, okay. So what we're going to do is, you're going to start out with your picture. You're going to draw it out, but I wanted to kind of show you some options. Now, arrows are always nice. So what I did is, I just sketched some arrows and I kind of liked having them pointing in together. Now you can have them go across your bookmark however you want it. And then also, you know, when I took the pen and outlined everything, then I kind of messed up down here. And this is also just embracing your mistakes. So I put in some sketch lines here so that, you know, I could add some black here and kind of line here to tie in with this, which is going to kind of come over here, and then we're going to carry it around here. And then this is going to come over here. You know, we're just kind of adding some thickness, and then, and I know I see I did that too, but that's okay. So, you know, this is always, you know, when you kind of go, whoops, just keep going. You know, I do it too, so then we're kind of adding a little visual interest to this arrow and also covering up a perceived mistake. So, and then once we get this in here, then I can erase the other pencil lines. Ooh, hello. And then you might make other marks that you don't like and then just keep adding to it. So, and then you can add some to the top of it since you're, you know, since we added some more down at the bottom, just to kind of balance things out. Okay. And so we'll paint this one in a little bit, but I'll kind of get started with the other ones to kind of show you some other options. Okay. So put the arrow here, and then I always have, you know, another piece of cardboard underneath. So now this one for chevrons, for those of you who are a little more exact. Now what I did is I just made a little mark in fourths. Now these are approximate fourths. For those of you who are super particular, feel free to measure, but I'm not that way. So then all I did is I went in and I took another piece of watercolor paper, another bookmark, and just did a line here, a line here, and a line here. And so then I just kind of put in diagonals, you know, kind of all keeping with each other, and then just did the same here, and so forth. And now you can also, you don't have to do it all the way down, or you can come back and erase some. So just kind of have fun with it. So I'll just kind of go ahead and do these here. And then feel free to let it fly, you know, go off the edge of the paper. Don't feel like you have to keep it contained, okay? And if it's not exact, don't worry about it. It's fine. But these, see, to me it looks a little weird. No big deal. You know, if you can see all of the angles, that's fine. And then we would just have to bring this down. So I'm kind of jumping around and doing all of the basic drawing stuff first. Then we'll come back and we'll do the pin lines. So these, we're doing diamonds on this one. And I kind of went over these a few times because these are not perfect, of course. Okay, so you get the basic idea. And then we're going to do diamonds in here. And you can kind of look, for those of you who are like, oh, I want to keep in line with these, then, but you don't have to have a measuring device, but do kind of eyeball it. But I know some of you are like, I can't believe it. Pull out your ruler if you are so inclined. It's totally fine. But you all should know me well enough by now to know that I like really kind of loose stuff. And here, the same thing with this one. You don't have to fill it all in. And what you can do is just get all your basic pencil lines in here and then decide. We're doing just the outline because we're going to add a lot more line to these, but this, I just want to get basic shapes. Now I'm drawing pretty dark just because I kind of sketch heavy, but you don't have to do this. And as you know, it's easier if you kind of start out light. So then when you erase your lines, you don't have to work as hard. So, but anyway. So there you go. You've got the idea, okay? And I personally like when things go off the edge, but if you think it looks strange to you, then don't do it. Okay? So these are the basic outlines. So now what I'm going to do is, let's see, I'm going to paint on this one and then I'll come back and we'll do the pin work, because part of it too is trying to make it as easy on yourself as possible, okay? So when you're doing your drawing, just get your basic lines in there, and then when you're going over it with pen, then just kind of do the extra lines with your pen versus drawing every single line with your pencil, because if you're going to go back over it in pen, you're drawing the whole thing twice. Okay, so I'm going to keep this one a little more simplified in that I'm just going to paint the arrows, you know, just basic colors. And so what I'm going to do first is paint some colors in here, and then while it's drying, I'll do some of the pen work on the others. So, and just, you know, as you know, anything goes. So whatever colors you want to use, have fun with it. So I'm going to do each one of these bookmarks a little differently so you can just kind of see. So, and just flip it around for whatever's easiest. So I'm just going to do just a simple wash in here. And now feel free, if you want to just do black and white on these, that's great too. But I'm just bringing the brush right off the page, so. So you guys are professionals by now. I'm just doing a basic watercolor wash, so. So, and take a minute, you know, before you, after you've gotten the ink on there, and before you start painting, just figure out a game plan as to what color scheme, what you want to, how you want to go about it. Because you know, definitely you can make it up as you go, but sometimes when you're, you know, when you're working with color, it's easier if you have an idea of how you want to go about it. You can always change your mind, but sometimes it's good to have an idea of where you're going. And I'm just kind of doing a little heavier wash on here, so this is kind of opaque on here, which is fine. A little more opaque. Oops. And don't be in a hurry, or you can kind of accidentally do stuff. And don't do what I just did and stick your thumb in it. So, and just to clean this up, you'll know to dip your brush into clean water and just keep pulling it off. And now if you know you're going to have black or something in between all of your arrows, then you don't really have to clean it up yet. And then I'm going to go back and kind of fix this here. Okay. And make sure you have the right size. I didn't erase that yet. Okay. I'll let this sit a minute because I know I need to erase those pencil lines on that one. So, okay. Now what I wanted to show you on, especially like on this diamond one, that, and remember, watch where your hand is so you don't just drag across. I am going to go ahead and outline these here, just to get it ready. And you can use a, you know, any felt tip pen. You can use a little slightly bigger Sharpie if you really want to. I happen to like the ultra fine because you can still make fatter lines even with a thin pen. Okay. I know this is really exciting to watch, but doing geometric patterns, it's really pretty fun, and you can do some really dramatic, interesting designs with it, and it's really very simple. It can look kind of complicated even when it isn't. So that's why I kind of wanted to show you. What am I doing here? Now I know I'm moving kind of fast because I know we don't have as much time, but you will take your time. So I just kind of wanted to show you how I went about it. So you could go, oh, that's really simple. I can totally do that because you can totally do this. Some lines, so then I'll just take a eraser, come in here, so then you're not confusing yourself with multiple lines. And this way too, you can see if you've missed anything or if you see lines that you're not too pleased with, or you know you're going to have to adjust them. So And two, you know, if there's something that you're like, I'm not really sure about that, you can, if you have an idea of doing something, then you can do it again in pencil and then come back and go over it in pen. But since this one is pretty simple, I'm just gonna keep going with the pen. So what I'm gonna do on this one is just kind of go around this. And yes, for those of you who are aghast that it is not perfect, that's okay. This is the way I'm intending it to be. So, but you can already see how it's really starting to look even more interesting, even though my diamond is not perfect. Mm-hmm. Ooh. So, and this is kind of what I wanted to do on most of these now. If it's vibrating your eyeballs too much, then you can do different things. You know, we've done enough pen and ink now that you could do stripes, cross-hatching, any of that stuff inside here. But this is just something really, a simple way to make a geometric pattern. Really simple to do, but it gives it a really nice, dramatic, graphic look. Just laughing at how wonked out my diamonds are. Ooh. So, and you can do something different in each of the diamonds if you want, but I'm gonna just kind of keep going this way. All right, so you can, what I did is I took the time off camera to do this, so since it's basically what I was doing, you know, it would have been boring for you guys to watch because you get the idea. So what I did on these, even though they were a little more pretty squirrely, I just kind of kept going over them so it kind of brings out, you can kind of clean up the edges by going over it with the pen, and then I just kept adding other, you know, thicker lines, you know, with the little skinny one, and then I left some less done up. So this way it still is kind of psychedelic and funky, but it's a little, you know, and it's still geometric. It's a little squirrely as far as non-use of ruler, you know, so you don't have exact lines, which that's fine. Or if you really want to use a ruler, feel free. But this is a really cool way just to make a really nice graphic, geometric diamond bookmark. And so I'm on the one with the arrows. On this one that I ended up just putting a heavier outline on, I know that when I paint it, I want to have a white outline around it because I'm going to add some dark in here. So I went ahead and put a little light, an outline around it, so I know that, you know, I want to keep a white outline around this one. And so then on the chevron one, here again, if you want to be exact, I do recommend using a ruler. I mean, I like to kind of keep it loose, but on something like this, it probably would have been better to have a, you know, ruler so things wouldn't have gotten as wonky, but I kind of am just going to embrace it. So on this one, I have all of the extra lines underneath, but I don't necessarily want to use them all. So I'm also just going to do something a little different. If I don't like it, I can also change it. So I'm going to do some, you know, horizontal lines this way. And if it looks really weird, you know, that's all right. I'm just going to kind of embrace it and go. So, and then once you're done with this part of it, then you can kind of look at it and see, oh, I need more lines or I need thicker lines, you know, because some of these are closer together. So just kind of have fun with it. This is really supposed to be kind of relaxing and enjoyable. So and then certain things like this one is, you can just add a heavier line in here. Just kind of straighten that up a little. So I'm just kind of doing this little bit of patterning in here. And you get the idea. And I'm just pulling it all the way off the edge because as you can see where I start, it kind of leaves a little bit of a black mark because that's, you know, because Sharpie tends to bleed a little bit. So you can really just kind of have fun with it and do whatever kind of patterning you want. And then, like I said, once you are done with your line work, then you can kind of go back and see where you need heavier lines. And on this one, I know that I'm going to leave some of it blank, so you can either erase your pencil lines or I can, you know, add paint in there. But, so, you get the idea. Woo. And here again, for those of you who I'm making uncomfortable since I'm not using a ruler, feel free to use your ruler. I just want you all to see how really pretty simple this is and totally doable. So, that you don't need to have a lot of tools to do something nice and geometric. Anyway, just okay. So these I kind of want to have a little closer together, so I'm just adding another line in here. This is why I'm thinking about what to do about the stuff on the bottom. Whoops. And then too, if you really want to, that's wet, don't use one. Then you can kind of go along with this. And then I'm just going to kind of do another line along here. Same thing in here. So just use a little cardstock. Well, I'm just using a piece of watercolor paper, so. Kind of brings it together, but you all get the idea. And just really take your time and just kind of have fun with it. I mean, bookmarks are great all year round, and these are also fun little additions. So I'm just going to add a few more. These are fun little additions to your, you know, your bookmark collection and just your pen and ink stuff. So I'm just going around and, like I said, I like using the ultrafine for even thicker lines because you just add another line next to it. And I like it better than using the fatter Sharpie. So, and then by doing this, you can also kind of correct some lines if you need to change the angle of it a little bit. Okay. And then what I'm going to do on this one is I'm actually going to, look at that. I'm going to actually fill some of this stuff in, so I just have to decide if I want to use a color or just black. So then I'll bounce back over to the arrows and just start kind of filling it in. So while I'm thinking about what to do about this one, I can just kind of fill this all in and fill this in and fill that in. So that might be nice just to kind of have a, and I can even just do this line in here. Okay. All right. So while I'm thinking about this, I'll pop over here and fill some of this out, and I'll add some paint. Yeah. All right, so you can see I filled this one out a little bit more with some color, and this one, I'm still figuring out other things that I could do to make it better, but you know, another thing you can do if you're like not really sure about the way certain things look, you can, like I filled this stuff in with black, and this is watercolor. Now you could fill it in with color, and you could still go back and add color to different things, and where these need to be crisped up, you know, just take your Sharpie and do that. And so what I'm showing you on this one, on the arrows, is because, you know, I started adding black in the background, and I'm adding it with a brush. But what I'm doing, because you can cover a lot more ground with the brush, so what I'm doing is, you know, filling in the large areas. And, you know, here, you know, I had that line because I knew I was going to wanting a white line around it. So then what I've been doing is just kind of going in to the bigger areas and using the brush. And then what I'll do is, like I was just saying a minute ago, I will go in with the Sharpie and then fill in the really close areas. Now, those of you who are really proficient with a brush and you can get up really close and not worry about it, then that's great too. This is just an option. Okay. So on the areas that are dry, and you can take a you know, a thicker Sharpie if you want, but I'm just going to go in here with this little one, and what I like to do is just keep drawing lines. I don't necessarily color in the area, but just by putting lines next to each other, you're doing the same kind of thing. Okay. And then just be aware of where you just did the wet black, so you're not getting your Sharpie in the black. And then so this way you have more control over it in the small areas. And another thing you can do, depending on what kind of watercolors you have, if you have nice watercolors that have a nice sheen to it, you're probably fine. But if you have watercolors that are kind of inherently flat, you can take a, you know, a sealant spray, like a semi-gloss or something, and seal it so that your bookmark then has a nice sheen to it, and then it'll seal all the watercolor and give it a nice sheen. So, but you get, yeah, you get the gist of what I'm doing here. So, and you can always, you know, go in. I just kept the arrows themselves pretty simple, but you could have gone in and done hatching, cross hatching, and kept it all black and white. But really, I just kind of wanted you to have fun, and I'm just giving you an example just to kind of see. But then just make sure if you're wanting to, just be aware of what lines, the lines you made and what you're trying to do. So I know I wanted this stuff to still be white over there. So doing geometric shapes is really very, pretty simple, easy to do. You can do this like with circles, squares, whatever. So just take your time. Do it in black and white, add color, whatever you want. But this is totally doable. So, but you get the idea. You don't need to see me finish all of this stuff, but you see it's coming together. So all right, you can do this. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with, and as always, take care of yourselves, and we will see you next time. Thanks.